Tervist!
Ma olen seal kohas, kus ma hakkasin küsima seda, et millest üldse investeerimispangandus nagu inimkonnas algus on saanud. Sest mul hakkas tunduma, et see, et me räägime aktsiaturgusest või USA esimesest börsist või nagu mingi paarisaja aasta perspektiivist, et see ei ole nagu päris tõde. Tõde peaks olema kuskilt seal, et kus inimloomus on välja kujunenud. Ja inimloomuses see nurgatagune, mis kogu aeg paneb meid tahtma mingeid asju, mida meil ei ole. Kui ma suudaks selle nagu kirjutada nagu selle algusloogika nagu enda jaoks selgeks niimoodi, et saaksid sellest aru ka võib-olla nagu inimesed, kes kunagi pole ühegi pangaga üheski teadlikus suhtes olnud või kunagi sellest mõelnud, et siis tekiks kuidagi selline, mis öeldus on mingi paradigma shift nüüd väga, et väga vaata, et inimesed hakkaksid kuidagi panka kui sellist ja seda nagu raha laenamist kui sellist ja raha kaasamist näiteks kas või aktsiaturgudelt oma ettevõtete arenguks, nagu nad hakkaksid kuidagi teistmoodi nägema. Võtta, see on see, nagu, kus ma täna olen, et ma otsin seda nagu nii-öelda ühte või kahte lõiku, seda metafoori, et kus see nagu algus on ja ma ei tea, kas ma leian. Ega see on teooria, see võib olla küll nagu igas protsessis niimoodi, igas suhtes, igas loomingulises etapis, et vaata, kõigepealt tekib kaif sellest, kui idee on, siis tekib kaif sellest, kui nagu see idee, nagu ma ei tea, on välja öeldud ja kellelegi meeldib, alati seal vahepeal on mingid kõhklused ja segadused ja jama, siis tekib kaif sellest, kui see nagu hakkab mingit vormi võtma, siis ta on vahepeal nagu, läbib jälle mingisugused nagu madalseisud, siis nagu tekib tal võib-olla mingi uus kuju. Need on inimsuhted või suhe vist autori ja teose vahel või midagi et sa kogu aeg pead nagu taas looma seda, et vaatama, et kus see nagu katarsist tuleb. Minu nagu hirm on minu saladuste ilmsiks tulek. Ja need saladused on sellised, et tegelikult kardan, et nad kõik saavad aru, et ma olen tühine. Ma tegelikult kardan, et nad kõik saavad aru, et ma olen mõttetu ja rõve inimene. ja seal peal on see, et kui nad teavad, milline ma tegelikult olen, siis nad mind ei armasta. Et see on minu selline nagu baasir, ma olen kole, ma olen halb, ma olen tühine ja seda ei tohi keegi teada saada. Siis kogu see fassaad on nagu selline, et ma olen äge, lõbus, asjalik, sisukas ja nii edasi. Et see on nagu see hirm, et mis tegelikult kõike seda toidab. Nagu unistus, kui ma hakkan uskuma seda lauset, et ma olen nagu loll, kole ja rõve ja ma olen ikkagi nagu armastusväärne, et siis ma olen nagu küps. Et see on see, kuhu ma tegelikult peaks nagu arenema inimesena. Et siin on see kirjaniku teema ja see ei ole nagu üldse oluline.
Я считаю, что каждый человек может делать все, абсолютно. Желание, только желание. Если человек занимается конкретно одним каким-то делом, и он хочет этим делом заниматься, без желания успеха не будет. Очень много времени я потратил впустую на друзей. И не набился, можно сказать, за 33 года. Ну, только, скажем, только себя, наверное, построил. Я живу в съемной квартире. Да, у меня была возможность вместо мойки взять квартиру. Но взял мойку. Можно сказать, что теперь живу здесь с утра до вечера. Вообще и не думал об этой работе. Я больше хотел поваром стать, готовить в ресторанчик себе.
Но в какой-то момент решил, что мне больше нравится заниматься машинами, чем готовить. Готовить я и дома могу. Для себя, для супруги, для детей своих. А с машинами все-таки поинтереснее.
Если ты берешь у человека за услугу деньги, пусть это будет евро, ты берешь за услугу, ты должен выложиться на евро 10. Потому что человек тебе доверил свой евро. Я так считаю. Должен делать максимально. Или не делать вообще. Самый большой страх – это остаться без родителей. Мы все рождаемся, растем, стареем. У нас конец один. Без родителей не хочу остаться.
Okay. Let's go on with you.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello.
We are Ott and Mihkel from Kadarik, Tüür Architects, and we don't have a movie today. We're practicing the architecture, and we can show you only projects mostly. And we picked one for today's presentation. That's our office, most of it. I can't introduce everyone, but you find them among the people. We started, I think, our practice almost 20 years ago, it appears now. But under the Kadarik and Tüür name, we are doing it since 2010, I think. Can we change the slides by ourselves, or just is it running?
Can you switch the slides? Okay.
Although I like the slides. So.
Okay. Okay. The site is nearby, next to the sea coast. This shot is done from Linnamäe direction to Kalarand. The site on a Tallinn map is shown here. It's quite nice location. The land is appeared there maybe 100 years ago, and it's quite a new part of land. Right now it's halfly like a wasteland in a city center. The people hanging around there, but it looks completely unorganized and poetic. And the aim was still to keep that freedom at the place. This shot is from an old ship which is standing there still partly. The coast is used by people who going swim there during summer, during winter. There are a couple groups which are doing winter swimming, and it's quite popular to just be there in that free space. We have proposed to a competition the housing project, which is based on detail planning, which allowed there to build 5-story high housing in whatever configuration. Only one line was shown that was dividing seaside from a construction line. And we proposed 12 buildings around the central piazzetta, which could provide the public space which is next to the sea, but it's not windy. Because we believe that a neighborhood which is next to the sea, especially in Tallinn, should consider the wind as one key factor. We were thinking about surroundings around the buildings, that if the context of Biennale is a beauty, I would tell that the beauty lies between the buildings there, but construction itself is kind of something between people who are interacting with the space, and we build it up so that surrounding around the building is a project. And the buildings are quite regular apartments. There is different types of 360, but the main issue for architect was a scale of architecture and how to create a human scale space in between buildings.
Oh, kuidas see,
see roheline suur nupp.
roheliseks saab edasi? Okay. Mihkel almost told the most important point that project has. It's the space in between the buildings and the surrounding of that beach area, which we don't want to destroy, and we want to keep that atmosphere and sense of a little bit of abandonness, maybe. For that event, I created a new set of renderings with the different kind of people who are enjoying the same buildings and the same environment, probably. If you go and see our exhibition work, then you probably can enjoy also those pictures as well. It's usually quite interesting thing about those pictures, how to communicate your work to the clients and to the public. And usually you don't have any kind of freedom at all later. What kind of colors you use, what kind of atmosphere you render. And usually the departments of real estate selling, they send you back all the images with the comments that remove that person from that, remove the atmosphere, change the colors, change the beauty. Add the Simpson sky, definitely. It's never dark, it never has the clouds. But make the evening rendering. But it doesn't really actually matter much how it ends up with the three-dimensional hocus pocus or tricks. The most important thing is that you build the environment and probably it stays there quite long. And the beauty of that architecture is always changing and the context is changing, but how people are looking at that beauty. And usually in a couple of decades that beauty is strange or funny or whatever. But if it's done fine in details and the big scheme, like the big space is well done, then the beauty can survive a little bit longer, like for centuries even.
Great.
So I can probably, if you don't have anything to add to it, Mihkel, we are 2 minutes earlier.
Maybe I would tell again that the programming of a space by architect is kind of prediction what doesn't go into reality never ever, and to create a space which is in a way free for people to interact and to organize it further on is kind of aim what we're trying to get to. But the predetermined space, would it be beautiful or not, it's boring. And the new interaction, if someone gets inspired by the unpredictability in a space, it's worth. Whether it's ugly or beautiful, it doesn't really matter. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Maris, you are an interior architect and a movie maker, and your sister Kadri is an architect, and this is really interesting connection in this movie clip we saw between you and Kadri. You are like with those people who are you portraying. In a way, you are trying to add a small scale, right? And I don't know why, but I started to think in terms of furniture, which is really mean. But how do you explain this connection between you and Kadri in this film and in your practice, and how you work together and so on?
Actually, this choice to show these fragments from the film, as I told in the beginning, but maybe not very clearly, was to pass this intimacy, pass this closeness that we have experienced through our project as architects. So it's more like the metaphor. It's just maybe a coincidence. It's just the scale we have had so far in our mutual projects. And so my experience is that when you work with small scale and with very personal and let's say personal things, then people get you so close that you almost don't see anymore the architecture. So it happens very easily that you as an architect or like as an interior architect, okay, your tool is still the design or like your practice, but you're using it more like a psychologist or almost like a doctor. So I wanted to, with this choice, I wanted to pass this idea.
Okay. If you work together with Kadri, do you discuss in terms of beauty, or is it something that remains only visual?
We use this word. This is ugly,
Okay.
This is beautiful. I like it, I don't like it. But it's more, it comes with no deeper meaning.
Okay.
I mean, like here I see it as a deep thing, but we use it very easily. Somehow,
Okay.
like, yeah.
Okay. There is something that caught my attention in this movie clip, where the first character was Sais Henno, Estonian writer, and he seems to be having some sort of existential crisis, where he was discussing that, well, I'm afraid that people understand that I'm pointless, I'm sort of ugly or boring, and I guess that I am grown up or mature if I don't disguise it anymore, if it's fine for me to be pointless and boring and so on, and I'm not afraid to show it to other people. Before we have been discussing that beauty is something if we feel that, wow, it's nearly to perfection, right? But at the same time, we were discussing here before that beautiful and ugly are not oppositions necessarily, that beautiful and literal are perhaps oppositions, and literal in this sense that this is some sort of superficial description of the phenomena, right? And I was thinking if this kind of idea by Sais Henno that if I try to be really honest and really simple, could it be some sort of way to a new idea of beauty, or could it lead to a beauty in a more successful way than trying to be, superficial and nice and so on? I don't know. I'm just reflecting my thoughts, and perhaps they are totally trivial. What do you think about it?
I remember when he told that first, this very honest inner feeling, it scared me. And it was so honest for me that I thought that I just can't put it, just can't show that out because it's something so personal. But I realized that if he already told, then he meant that it could be shown. And I guess it gives this honesty gives freedom to him. And I didn't answer
No, no. Mihkel and Ott, can you reflect this idea if honesty could be the way to beauty, or it doesn't speak to you at all?
For me, it's the only way, I think. I'm stupid and I'm honest.
Mihkel? I'm more or less asking for your concept of beauty. So.
I'm feeling like if we would sit here, if we teleport the meeting here to 100 years ago, and we are in Paris Beaux-Arts School and discussing about which kind of Greek mythology is good to place on a Western facade. And one says that maybe Neptune, the other one says Zeus. And at the same time, next door, some people are inventing concrete, and they starting to build concrete. It's kind of, we're having kind of turning point of architecture that we are, actually the planet is burning. We have to somehow insulate the buildings and to cut down the price of the buildings. And we're discussing about Zeus and Neptune. So I feel kind of like the theme is kind of isolated to a bubble of not related to the other problems with a different dimension. It's kind of how to interact with a theme at all. I'm in a trouble. We have gone through very long way to make the installation and to discuss it, but I'm still haven't found my way into it.
Okay, so you see as a more burning question all kind of so-called objective questions like the climate crisis, and you could even say, are those questions rational? Can we actually draw this line saying that, well, if we are speaking about beauty, we tend to be subjective, and you say you rather would like to speak about the climate crisis and be objective. Of course, I'm putting it obviously too easy, but...
It goes back to ethics of architects somehow, but is it the beauty of a building what we discuss, or how it's made? But if we're discussing the buildings which are made to certain purpose and they don't take into consideration the resources they are using and how they relate to the people in social aspects when it's empty. And it's so complex problem that if we just focus on a beauty and not on an interaction what it causes, the beauty can cause in architecture the people who relate to the buildings in different way, and that may be the subject what could be interesting to discuss.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been discussing about the beauty in that context. By creating that installation over there, I sprayed it with the blue stuff and you said it's ugly. And it's useful.
Yeah.
Because it was heavily insulated?
It's heavily insulated.
Yeah.
You can survive it in Arctic, I think, if you put the windows on.
Yeah. It goes to the definition, what is a beautiful act or what is not a beautiful act, not what is a beautiful object or what is not beautiful object. It's so simple, but if the object can be the same, but if interaction and background and resources which are used for object are nasty, then the object is not so nice anymore.
Okay, so to have a beautiful object, you need to have ethical background.
Or just the relation, how it relates to the context and how it relates to people, how it relates to resources, how it relates to capital, whatever. Mm-hmm.
But if it if it is related to a totally coherent way, does it give beauty already, or do you need to add some sort of creative effort also to have beauty? I'm asking if you solve all these questions you are worried about, is the thing necessarily beautiful?
If it contains certain joy in a life, it's beautiful. But if it's same object, it doesn't contain any more the joy in life. It's ugly.
Okay. Unfortunately, the screen says that our time is up. But thank you for bringing this another dimension to our discussions, and have a great luck with your...
Thank you.